Howdy folks, welcome to the episode 16 of Great Ideas with Great Minds. Today I'd like to throw out the revolutionary idea of inverse profit. An inverse profit is the idea that you will reduce profits in the short term to create collective gain, but in turn you're aiming for profit in the long term. And so how this works is you take select industries or sectors and you look at things that have excess fat, let's say. And this fat will be considered your advertising, your outsourcing, your arguments, and your trade deals that cut out and make it hard to maintain your bottom line. And so, since it's hard to maintain your bottom line when you're bleeding money or having to get your name out there, what we're going to do instead is cut that out. And how do you cut that fat? Well, one way you cut that fat is you take away from privatization and you go more public in some industries, not all. And we look at things like the cell phone industry that we could do this for. And doing this for the cell phone industry or the electrical industry or the water industry, the reason that we do these things is because you have things that are essential for people and things that people need to pay for because they need to be in contact, they need to have the ability to have electricity, and they need clean water. And so, by saying these things are necessities, we say, okay, cut out this competition for this because we're all paying too much monthly for phones and too much for plans. And so what we can do instead is bring them together. So all of a sudden, you don't have 20 cell phone companies working against each other saying, I'm the best cell phone, when in reality, they aren't. Because what happens in this separate privatized competition is that you actually get mediocre products instead of the superior products that you think you're getting. Because the way that this works is, if I'm competing against 20 people, I don't need to make the best product. I just need to make a better product than the person who comes in second. And so, while that might sound like I'm going to do the best, I'm going to be incentivized to save as much money as possible, and so I'm not going to. Because, for example, look at research and development. As you grow, your research and development costs rise. And so every year when you're told to make a new phone, you can spend a lot of money on trying to make the crazy good phone, or you can add just a few more gadgets to your phone to say, we made a better phone than last year. And you might want to buy it, but it's not going to be blow you out of the water good. And if you look at the way the phone's been going for the last 10 years, that's pretty much how it goes. You know, they say we added battery space, we added storage space, and all these things are legitimate upgrades. And they do cost a lot of money to update and to research these things. But part of that is because they're limited by their competition. Because for all these people, what they're doing is they have to keep trade secrets. They can't say, hey, I'm working on this thing. B company, would you like to jump on this with me? No, because they want to drive B company down. And so they actually end up spending more money keeping it a secret, first of all, and then advertising the heck out of it while B companies do the same thing. And so these two companies, instead of actually delivering a superior product like they could with transparent competition, they're just delivering a mediocre product. And we don't see that because we don't really have a standardized cell phone industry. We're so used to buying what we call a great phone, when in reality, we're getting one pulled over. Because every year, when you're paying $1,000 for a new phone upgrade that just added a little bit more battery space or a little bit of a better camera, yeah, 10 years ago it'd be worth it. Buying the first version of a smartphone versus the 10th version of a smartphone, that's called a superior product. But version 2 and version 1, that's not a superior product. That's a mediocre upgrade. And so, let's look at this. So, if all of a sudden we take company A, B, C, and D, and we merge their research and development, and we cut out their advertising, what do we have? We have a lot of free space to experiment. And not only do we have free space to experiment, we have the maneuverability to put in our product and say, you know, you got a good phone last year, we're going to wait 2 years to make an exceptional cell phone. And then it will actually be worth paying $1,000 because that cell phone will probably last you for 5 years. Because not only are we looking at the cost of the phone, we're looking at the environmental cost. We're saying, is it actually necessary for people to have a new phone every year? Or can we make a really good phone for every 5 years? And then maintain that and make it worth going every 5 years. But in turn, we aren't making 5 phones in between that are 5 mediocre phones, by the way. Because, for example, only recently have they made technology for phones that is worth upgrading my 5S to. Yeah, I have a phone from 2015, and I've still not wanted an upgrade because they've not made anything really worth buying yet. And so, keeping that in mind, imagine doing that not only for our self-industry, but also our health industry. So all of a sudden, we're not having these super expensive organic foods that are competing against each other. Instead, we're able to consolidate and have more brands that offer healthy food for a better price. Because right now, part of it is, since it's a privatized market for health food, it's everyone saying, I'm the healthiest, buy me. But oh, by the way, since I'm the healthiest, I need to spend a bunch of money in advertising and packaging to make myself look good and say that I'm the healthiest, or spend a lot of money on research to prove I'm the healthiest. And all my competition is doing the same thing. And so in reality, when I only cost so much, I now cost way much because I have to add all those extra costs. It doesn't make me a bad person, but it makes you try to survive. And so, if you look at these things, yes, it is necessary to cut out some of the competition. And that's only fair to the collective. Because right now, what happens is you're looking at the benefit of the producer and saying we should make this all about them versus the consumer. And in reality, it's driven by the consumer. And so, thinking about how to make it worthwhile for the consumer, we see that if we can free up people's dollars, so they're not spending as much money on a monthly phone bill, they're not spending as much money on a phone, they're not spending as much money trying to get food that's healthy for their children, they're not spending as much money on really just unnecessary gym costs, or buying a new car that's like a cell phone, not much better than the last year, we all of a sudden free up money that can be spent on anything else. And that's when we look at the good of privatization. Because there's many other products that are kind of extraneous, but are really kind of cool. Like, your building block sets. We're not going to standardize your building block sets because by having people able to compete against each other, it makes a lot of cool building blocks to build. And yet, having building blocks is not a fundamental need for life. But having good health, having communication, having clean water, having a place to sleep, having transportation, yes, those are necessities of life. And so, by making public utilities and having more transparent competition in things that are necessary for life, we can make it so that we're having a hybrid of privatization and public uses. And so, instead of just saying, I want to spend all my money on my cell phone bill, or I want to spend all my money going to Gym A that's not really much better than Gym B, but costs $40 per month because, well, they need to say they're better than Gym B, so they need to buy more equipment to say they're better. Well, in reality, for those 2 gyms, you could have one gym that has even better equipment because they have the budget that's not taken away by the fat. And all of a sudden, people have money to spend. Because it's not like people are making less money. No, all of a sudden people are not stressed out about these monthly costs. All of a sudden they're actually able to live. They're able to pay rent. They're able to pay food. They're able to pay their bills. And being able to pay these bills makes them say, hey, I can actually save money for college. Or I can actually go out to eat. And in turn, the economy thrives. But as it is now, what we call thriving, it's only a shadow of what it could be. Because we're blinded by what we see, and we say this is the best you can get. But it's not. And so, if we really wanted to work for a better tomorrow, let's get started in a new shot. So here's wishing you best of luck on the week. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.